This is how we know that this whole passage, 1 Corinthians 12, 1 through 11, isn't really about gifts, about who has what, right? Which is kind of how we think of 1 Corinthians 12. That's not how Paul thinks of it. He's thinking of the gifts as just a symptom of this underlying spiritual and moral problem. In the modern continuationist movement, as in the older versions, don't we fall into the very Corinthian error that Paul's trying to correct, trying to figure out who has or doesn't have, quote unquote, the gifts, and which gift one has. And as I mentioned, you might remember, years ago, I took one of the gift assessments that we were doing in the 70s. And the truth is, it's not up to us to assess them or distribute them. These things were obvious in the apostolic church. You didn't need a test. Well, which one do you have? I don't know. Let's take a test and see which one you have. No, that's not how that worked at all. It's not how that worked at all. You could tell what people could do because they just did it, because they were endowed supernaturally with supernatural gifts by the Holy Spirit. And so if the continuationists are correct, and I doubt that very much, as you could tell, the whole tenor of the series, right, is that the Scriptures are enough.
Feathers and all, the Scriptures are enough.
And if that's true, then of course I'm not a continuationist. But for the sake of discussion, if the continuationists are correct, that the gifts continue, then this passage alone is enough to disqualify their process of trying to distribute and activate them. Right? Nobody should ever ask you, would you like the Holy Spirit? Right? This is something that is not yours to distribute. This is something that God the Holy Spirit does sovereignly and not you. And it's also not something that you can assess or activate, right? It's not like, you remember the Fantastic Four? They had to, right? Johnny had to activate his powers. And continuationists sometimes, in my experience, frequently talk about activating these gifts.